In April 2021, a man in China sat down at his computer and wrote a short essay. He was 26 years old, no job, no plans to get one. He spent about $30 a month. He didn't want a car, he didn't want a house, he didn't want a wife or children or a promotion. He didn't want a future that looked anything like the one his parents had built for him. He titled the post with 4 characters. Translated into English, they mean, "Lying flat is justice." Within days, the post was deleted. Within weeks, the phrase appeared to disappear from major Chinese search engines. State media called it shameful. Some universities held meetings about it. Prominent business figures went on television to criticize the attitude behind it. And yet, none of it worked. The phrase had already escaped. It spread across forums, across apps, across borders. Young people in Shanghai were lying flat. Then Tokyo, then Seoul, then Berlin, then Brooklyn. Different countries, different languages, different problems on the surface. Underneath all of them, the same sentence. "I'm done playing a game I can't win." His name was Luo Huazhong, a former factory worker from a small city in southern China. 4 characters, 1 short essay, and somehow, within a few years, those 4 characters became a mirror for an entire generation. Japan had its own version of the feeling, young people who seemed to see through ambition and step away from it. Korea named it after the things being given up: dating, marriage, children, then more. Britain had neat. America had quiet quitting. None of these words mean exactly the same thing, but they all point toward the same feeling. Effort used to promise a future. Now effort feels like rent you pay to stay exhausted. So what is actually happening here? Why are so many people, in so many different places, quietly stepping back from the life they were told to want? The answer starts with an experiment from 1967 on a group of dogs. In 1967, a psychologist named Martin Seligman put a group of dogs in a box. The floor gave mild electric shocks. Painful, but not dangerous. Half the dogs could stop the shock by pressing a panel. They learned fast. The other half couldn't. Nothing they did mattered. The shock just kept going until the experimenter decided to stop it. After a while, the second group stopped trying. Then came the strange part. Seligman moved both groups into a new box. A box where the shock could now be escaped, easily. Just step over a small barrier. The first group figured it out in seconds. The second group lay down on the electrified floor. They took the shock, even though the way out was right there. He called it learned helplessness. The dogs hadn't learned that the world was painful. They had learned something worse. Nothing I do makes the pain stop. And once they learned that, even when the rules of the world changed in their favor, they didn't notice. Hold this image in your head. A creature lying on the floor. The door is open, but it no longer believes in doors. We're going to come back to that. For 2 generations, the deal was simple. Work hard, get an education, buy a house, build a life. Press the panel, shock stops. Effort produces result. Then the panel stopped working. A college degree used to feel like a ticket. Now it often feels like the minimum price of entry. A house used to be difficult. Now, for many young people, it feels mathematically absurd. Productivity kept rising, people kept working, the economy kept asking for more, but the reward stopped showing up in the same way. This is what older generations often miss when they call young people lazy. Their world rewarded effort differently. Their discipline was real, but so were their rewards. They were playing a game where the rules still connected sacrifice to stability. You are pressing the same panel. The shock isn't stopping. After a few thousand presses, something changes in your brain. Not all at once, quietly. You stop expecting the promotion to change your life. You stop believing the next certificate will save you. You stop getting excited when someone says, "Just work hard for a few more years." From the outside, nothing dramatic has happened. You still go to work. You still answer messages. You still pay your bills. But inside, something has stopped reaching. That's what the textbooks might call learned helplessness. Classic case. Except, here's where that explanation breaks. Seligman's dogs didn't know they were in an experiment. They didn't write essays about the box. They didn't give their condition a name. They didn't share that name across continents. This generation did. They named it. They argued about it. They turned it into memes, essays, jokes, subcultures, late-night comment sections. They did something the dogs in 1967 could not do. They described the cage from inside it. That is not exactly helplessness. It is something more conscious than that. Let's call it lucid withdrawal. Not the failure to escape. The decision to stop pressing a button you have finally realized is broken. That changes the meaning of lying flat. It isn't always the symptom of a psychological problem. Sometimes it is a person diagnosing one. But that diagnosis doesn't begin as a clean decision. At first, it usually feels like three things stacked on top of each other: exhaustion, shame, disappointment. The exhaustion is not normal tiredness. It is not the kind that disappears after a good weekend. It follows you into Sunday night. It is there on Monday morning, in the shower, on the train, at the desk. Not because you are doing too much, because too much of what you are doing no longer feels connected to anything. You can work 50 hours and feel alive if the work means something. You can work 20 and feel hollow if it feels pointless. That is the exhaustion older generations mistake for laziness. Then comes shame. This is the part nobody wants to say out loud, because the message you grew up with was simple. If you're tired, you're weak. If you're broke, you didn't try hard enough. If you're behind, it's because you failed to keep up. So you don't tell anyone. You just open your phone, and there they are. People buying houses, people getting engaged, people starting companies, people with better bodies, better apartments, better mornings, better lives. You know it's curated. You know it's filtered. It still works. The algorithm doesn't need you to believe everything. It only needs you to compare. And after years of comparison, your nervous system can start to treat ordinary life like a permanent emergency. You are not just tired. You are tired while feeling guilty for being tired. That is a different kind of exhaustion. Then comes disappointment. Not in yourself, in the deal. The slow realization that the people who promised you the old path were not necessarily lying. Your parents may have told you the truth. It was just the truth of their world. Study hard, get a stable job, save money, buy a home, start a family. For many of them, that script was difficult, but believable. For many young people now, the script still exists, but the reward at the end has moved farther and farther away. No one announced it. There was no warning. The brochure just stopped matching the building. And that is often the moment people lie down, not because they are weak, because they finally stop pretending the old promise still feels real. This is why the standard story gets it wrong. People say this generation has lost ambition, that young people don't want anything anymore. I don't think that's true. I think many of them want things more honestly than their parents did. They just no longer want the same trophies. Psychologists have known for decades that humans aren't only driven by money, status, or approval. Those things can move people. They don't necessarily make people well. Underneath them, people need three deeper things. They need to feel they have some choice in their own life. They need to feel they are getting better at something that matters. They need to feel connected to other people in a way that doesn't feel rushed, fake, or transactional. Autonomy, competence, relatedness. That's why I don't want to climb the ladder doesn't always mean I want nothing. Sometimes it means I want my time back. I want my attention back. I want my nervous system back. I want friendships that don't have to be scheduled 3 weeks in advance. I want work that doesn't swallow my entire personality. I want a life that still feels like mine when nobody is clapping. That is not the death of ambition. That is ambition pointed at a different target. Luo Huazhong's essay was not a surrender note, it was a renegotiation. He wasn't refusing to want things. He was refusing to want the specific things he had been told to want. Maybe he didn't have the academic language for it, but he seemed to understand something psychology has been circling for decades. A life can look successful from the outside and still feel like exile from yourself. But this is where it gets dangerous, because stepping away from a broken game can be wise. Staying nowhere forever can become another cage. Lying flat tends to happen in stages. The first stage is anger. You realize the deal is broken and you feel cheated. Angry at your boss, angry at your parents, angry at the economy, angry at yourself for believing the script for so long. The second stage is collapse. You stop trying. You sleep too much. You scroll too much. You cancel plans. You tell yourself you're resting. Somehow you don't feel restored. At first, it feels like freedom. No more chasing. No more pretending. No more proving. For a while, that feels good. Then the room starts getting smaller. The days blur. The silence gets heavier. You are no longer running, but you are not really living either. This is where many people get stuck, because collapse can look like peace from the outside, but inside, it often feels like disappearing. The third stage is harder and quieter. It begins when you stop asking, "What am I supposed to want?" and start asking, honestly, maybe for the first time, "What do I actually want?" Not what would impress my parents, not what would look good online, not what would make me sound successful at a reunion. What do I want when nobody is watching? That question is harder than it sounds, because for most of your life, the world handed you the answer. Grades, degrees, jobs, promotions, marriage, house, children. You may reject the script and still have no idea what replaces it. At first, the answer might be nothing, just static. That doesn't mean you're empty. It might mean that all the borrowed desires are finally going quiet. And under that noise, something smaller starts to come through. Not a grand life purpose, not a perfect dream, maybe just one honest preference, one real interest, one person you miss, one place where your body relaxes, one kind of work that doesn't make you feel split in half. That is where rebuilding starts, not with a motivational speech, not with returning to the same ladder, with one true thing. That is not lying flat as defeat. That is lying flat for something. So here is the most honest version. Lying flat works as a protest. It is harder to make it work as a permanent address. The system that broke isn't going to fix itself just because you stopped playing. The shocks don't actually turn off when you lie down on the floor. They just stop feeling like shocks after a while. And that can become its own kind of problem. There are two versions of lying flat. They look similar from the outside. From the inside, they are completely different. One is rest, real rest, the kind that puts you back together, the kind your nervous system has been begging for. The other is hiding. Hiding doesn't put you back together. It only helps you avoid feeling the cracks for a while. So the question isn't simply, should I keep grinding? The better question is, what am I lying flat for? Am I resting so I can hear myself again? Or am I disappearing because I no longer believe anything can change? Those are not the same thing. Rest is a verb. So is rebuilding. Luo Huazhong is somewhere in southern China now. Last anyone heard, he was still living simply, still reading, still writing, still uninterested in becoming famous in the way people usually mean famous. He never asked to speak for a generation. He just wrote a few sentences that millions of people recognized. And maybe that's why the phrase spread so far. Not because everyone wanted to give up, but because so many people were tired of pretending the old game still felt fair. You are not broken because you are exhausted. You are not lazy because you no longer worship the same rewards. And you are not wrong for noticing that the machine doesn't work the way you were told it would. But noticing is only the beginning. Whatever you do next, whether you rest, rebuild, walk away, start again, or rewrite the rules entirely, do it on purpose, not by default. Because lying flat can be the moment you stop living someone else's life, but only if you eventually ask what your own life is supposed to be. If this hits somewhere, let me know in the comments. What does your version of lying flat look like, and what are you lying flat for? I'll see you in the next one.